we think are going to be the biggest winners and the biggest losers in the Tottenham squad under Roberto De Zerbi. So we're going to go one for one here, and we're going to start off who we think is going to be one of the biggest winners. The first player we're going to talk about is Cristian Romero. And look, we all know the way Cuti likes to play on the edge. He likes to play forward-thinking football. He likes to press into that midfield, and he can turn left or right. He can play lovely balls, and his ball-playing ability is absolutely phenomenal. And look, I think like Cristian Romero is, with the quality that he has, is probably good for any manager, but particularly a manager like De Zerbi, who loves to play out from the back.
Yeah, I think the main thing with Romero is, you know how people get annoyed when he puts his foot on the ball and he's kind of waiting for players to move and stuff. That's exactly what De Zerbi's going to want. That's exactly what De Zerbi likes, and I think their characters are going to mesh. I think they're really going to see eye to eye in how they see football being played. I think he's going to like De Zerbi's mentality and tough love and intensity. I think that's what Romero wants. He wants high standards, and he wants that from the manager from a starting point. So I think they're really going to mesh well together, in my opinion. And I think he's a proper De Zerbi player in the sense that he is perfect for playing in between the lines, playing those quick passes and baiting the press. I think that's what Romero loves to do as well. So I think immediately you're going to see a better Romero, and I think De Zerbi is going to love him. And I think Romero's going to like De Zerbi as well.
First loser, who thinks is going to be one of the biggest losers under Roberto De Zerbi? And yeah, I think we can all guess who this player is going to be, and it's going to be Joao Palhinha. I don't think we take up the option to sign him now. Roberto De Zerbi is at the helm. We've seen his lack of ability on the ball, and we've seen at Marseille, we've seen at Brighton, he loves ball-playing midfielders. He needs players that can take the ball on the half-turn, keep the ball moving. Yeah, and Palhinha is just not that.
Yeah, I think what De Zerbi likes in his midfielders is high technical ability, bravery, and quality as well. He likes players playing those quick interchanges, little flicks, one-touch passes, not too many touches. And I think Joao Palhinha is someone who is just not very good at that side of the game. He's whenever he's rushed into a pass, whenever he's under pressure, his passes seem to go astray. They're not accurate. Even when he's got time and space, his passing isn't exactly fantastic. But I think the way De Zerbi likes to play, if you watch how Brighton play through the middle, it's always very quick, incisive, energetic, with a purpose kind of passing. And that's just not what De Zerbi... so it's not what Joao Palhinha does, is it? And I just watch how the De Zerbi midfielders play the game, and I'm like, I just can't see Joao Palhinha being able to be up to speed with this. I think he's really going to struggle. Yeah. So I definitely think Joao Palhinha is going to be one of the fall guys here. Yeah,
it definitely seems that way. And, you know, Palhinha, it's probably the last 7 games as a Spurs player, unfortunately. Next, second winner who we're going to go for under Roberto De Zerbi, we're going to look at Xavi Simons. We all know the quality that Xavi Simons has. I think he's been up and down in a Spurs shirt. I think he has been gradually getting better as a season, and he's getting more influential as the season has gone on. However, I don't think he's had the right managers for him as of yet at Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank hasn't been good for him. Tudor as well, albeit we have seen flashes for Xavi Simons in a Spurs shirt, particularly in Europe and in a few league games here and there. But I think Roberto De Zerbi is going to play to his strengths. He's going to get him playing so well. He's going to get him picking up these pockets of spaces. He's going to really hone in on that creative ability that he has got. I mean, just look at the first 6 months that Xavi played here. Like, he was getting the ball, making really good decisions, but he had no one in 10, 15, 20 yards of him. That's not going to happen under Roberto De Zerbi. De Zerbi is going to get runners off him. He's going to get him being the central figure of the creativity of this football club. And I think Xavi's development is going to come on leaps and bounds under De Zerbi. I really do.
Yeah, I think the main thing is options available to him, which he just had so little options available to him. But ever since he's come to the club, it seems. So I think that is the main thing. He's going to have people around him, people to play off. And yes, he maybe sometimes doesn't make the best decisions in the final third, but the guy has quality. And I think if you platform him correctly, we know there's a seriously talented footballer in there. And I think De Zerbi is going to really like him. He's going to be right. I think he's going to be the hub of the team. He's going to play him in his best position in that number 10. He's had number 10s before who haven't been the most physical, but he's got the best out of them. And I think Xavi is going to fall into that category. And I think he's going to love playing into the space that the De Zerbi ball tries to bring you. And I think he's going to really flourish. I'm looking forward to Xavi.
I actually think like he could be one of the most exciting ones. I really do. Mm-hmm. The second loser that we're going to go for is Conor Gallagher. Obviously, we only just brought him in January. We've given him a high pay packet, long contract as well. So there is a bit of a, strange conversation to have here. Like, Atletico Madrid were finding it hard to get him off their books. But I just don't think he has the kind of skill set that De Zerbi looks for in a football player. He's like a player that maybe will crash the box late and a hard runner, a hard worker. He'll like the hard runner and hard worker stuff, but I don't think he's of the required technical ability level that Roberto De Zerbi looks for in his midfielders.
Yeah, I just look at Gallagher and I look at the midfielders we got, and I think De Zerbi will look at that and think, I probably prefer Gray, I probably prefer Bergvall, I probably prefer Basuma. Bentancur is coming back soon. And understand, Gallagher's maybe the most offensive-minded out of all of those players. So you might think, well, De Zerbi's attacking manager, let's get an offensive-minded centre mid in there. But in terms of what is required from the role, those very quick passing and moving in interchanges, and also that ability to carry the ball over long distances, I think those other guys might be a better fit for it and better with their little passes. And I think Gallagher might again fall by the wayside, and I don't see him playing Gallagher really in a front three potentially like he has done in recently. I think Xavi's going to get that 10 role, so I think Gallagher might be left out in the cold, and I wonder if there'll be a difficult conversation to be had in the summer if De Zerbi doesn't take to Gallagher immediately, because he came in for 40 million. He's the highest earner. If we stay up and he's not Zerbi's preferred choice, do you think there's a conversation to be had in the summer about his future?
The problem that we have is that because we've put him on such high wages, it's going to be hard to sell him. It's going to be really hard to sell him. He's got he's probably got a minimum of 3-4 years in his contract. How are we going to get him out the door? Who's going to come and pay those wages for him?
I know, that's a good point. Unless we pay subsidise the wages or something ridiculous. Yeah, I do wonder if because if he's not being picked now, that means going forward, if we're looking to improve those areas, he's not going to have a future here if De Zerbi doesn't fancy him right now.
He might end up becoming just a squad player for a few years, and then when the contract starts to kind of run out a little bit, then take a deal on him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Or he might like him. Man, could be completely wrong.
The thing is, what he might like is his hard work and his pressing. Because we know De Zerbi loves hard workers. He likes good pressers. And that's what Gallagher is.
True.
Just the technical ability is just a bit low.
And I feel like De Zerbi likes sometimes in his fielders to be comfortable with their back to goal. And Gallagher doesn't seem to be that comfortable in that facing that direction.
Yeah. All right, next up, one of the winners, we have gone for Lucas Bergvall. And we don't have Archie Gray on this list, but I think Archie Gray will be one of the biggest winners under De Zerbi as well. And Archie Gray and Bergvall, both of them, obviously we brought them as such young players, and I think they're getting better and better. Their development is so strong, particularly Archie Gray. Now, Bergvall, it's hard to judge this season because he's been in and out of the team and injuries and everything like that, but look, we all know the qualities that Lucas Bergvall has. Got a Player of the Year last season, and I think De Zerbi is going to love both of these players. He really is.
I think for Bergvall, the reason for me why he's going to be such a big winner is because I think, first of all, he's going to be back in his natural position, in my opinion. I think he's going to be playing back in the number 8, and I think that's where De Zerbi's going to like him. I think the fact that he is very good at kind of wriggling out of tight situations, and his ball carrying ability is really good in driving. I think he's going to love that. And I think I don't think we've tapped into his passing ability. I think sometimes he takes too long to pass the ball. He hangs on to the ball too much. But I think if De Zerbi can drill it into him, get those less touches, pop those passes off quickly. He's got the ability to do it, and I think once De Zerbi gets into him, he's going to be a perfect De Zerbi player. He's got the physicality, he's got brilliant stamina, he's got actually underrated strength, and he's got really great technical ability. But I feel like most of the time the technical ability is borne out more in his ball carrying ability, but I think he's got good passing as well, and I think De Zerbi is going to coach him in a way that makes him a lot more efficient on the ball.
Yeah, and look, you talk about Bergvall's ability to wriggle out of situations. I mean, Gray has that in abundance as well.
Yeah.
And I think like you're talking about these two as a double pivot, maybe behind a Xavi Simons. I think that might be our go-to. I really do believe that, and I think that Xavi and Bergvall have attributes that can complement each other in that middle of the park as well. You're looking at both of them, and actually we've seen it on a few times. We haven't seen them play together that often, but when they do play together, I think it's sometimes we've had our best results this season.
Burnley, I remember.
First game of the season they played together, and we're like, wow, look, Thomas Frank's going for them two in his first Premier League game, and
we had that, and then ever since then, Bergvall's barely played in the number 8.
One for Palhinha and Bentancur and this and that.
Tudor never had him, did he?
I think we always look good when them two play together. We played with them two together away at PSG as well.
I think maybe away at West Ham, maybe.
So, you know what I mean? So I think these guys have got a good synergy between them, and we haven't seen them together more enough anywhere near what we should be seeing. And I think De Zerbi will love them.
Yeah.
All right, next up, one of the losers. This is the last loser, and that is going to be... No, sorry, we've got two more. Guglielmo Vicario. We all know that De Zerbi loves a goalkeeper who can play out from the back, and we all know that one of his biggest weaknesses, Vicario, is playing out from the back. So, look, we all know as well that Vicario is angling for a move. He's Inter Milan, AC Milan have been heavily interested in Vicario for a summer move. So, yeah, I think Vicario probably, this is his last 7 games for Spurs anyway.
Yeah, well, the thing is with Zerbi, he's not scared to change a keeper. He's not scared to even bring in a keeper who's been previously unfancied and give them an opportunity. And we know Kinski, with his ability on the ball, maybe Zerbi looks at and thinks, I want to give this guy an opportunity and I want to give this guy a chance. Now, Vicario has had lots of problems playing out the back, definitely in the last year. I would say less so under Ange, especially early on. I think... There's 2 ways of looking at it. I think Vicario's ball playing ability is very limited. We all know that. When he's asked to ping a little chip pass into a fullback or play long to a striker, it's woeful. He's not very good at it. But the thing why it wasn't so highlighted under Ange is because he had lots of options, and his job was pretty much play the ball quickly to a defender, pop the ball off, and his short passing game wasn't terrible. He didn't misplace too many short passes, but he did always kind of look a bit nervous, right? He didn't look completely comfortable on the ball. But I think in a weird way, De Zerbi coming in will mean he's got a lot of options again. I feel like the build-up play was a massive issue under Frank. We always looked like we didn't know what we were doing on the ball. We can never build up from the back. And it never ever got going, really, pretty much throughout this whole tenure. And I think a lot of the reason why is because there was a lot of separation between the midfield and defence. So and Vicario always had very limited options on the ball. So I do think from in one standpoint, Vicario will now have more options. So I reckon we will see some mistakes be cut out from him in terms of he's not going to be playing out play for a throw all the time like he is now. But what De Zerbi also requires is I think you need to be braver as a goalkeeper on the ball than you were under Ange. He literally, I think, is asking the goalkeeper to be involved in baiting the press. He needs a player to stand towards the keeper before they're passing off. And I see Vicario getting very nervous in those situations. And I whether he's totally comfortable in those situations, I reckon the jury is massively out on that. Albeit under Ange, he looked a bit more comfortable than he does now. So I think it'll be better for him than it is now, but it still won't be enough for De Zerbi. You
know, having said that, though, I do think he persists with Vicario until the end of the season, because what he's saying in his interview just now, saying, I don't want to talk about my philosophy now. I think he's going to value that shot stopping over anything right now, because we cannot be conceding any easy goals. And
hopefully with his hernia operation done, hopefully that comes back, because it's completely deserted him over the last 2 months or so.
Yeah. Another winner, we are going to go for Pedro Porro. Well, we all know the qualities that Pedro Porro has. Unbelievable ball playing and crossing ability. One of our best players in build-up that we have at the football club. And yeah, look, right backs and left backs, full backs are very important in a De Zerbi system. And I think in recent times, you've seen the way the fullback works. Sometimes it's even a midfielder at right back comes into the midfield with, you know, high IQ and high kind of volume of passing. And I think Pedro Porro will be absolutely perfect for it.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be one who's really going to unlock Pedro Porro, in my opinion, because I think Porro needs to be. I know he's very good in the final third, but I'm starting to think he needs to be someone who he does what Slot did with Trent, just like really centre the build up around him and really get that technical passing ability out of him, which I feel like he was pretty much resorted to spamming passes down the line under Frank, and he was not getting the best out of him, in my opinion, albeit he did create quite a few like crosses and stuff, but I think in build-up he was literally resorted to just spamming balls to Kudus, and that was it. Under Ange, he was definitely inverted, but he was playing too much maybe in those number 10 positions, and he kept getting caught out of position. I think De Zerbi could really unlock the true potential of Pedro Porro, which I think we haven't seen the best out of. Get him in that build-up, get him dictating the play from that position, get him tucking inside. He likes to have his fullbacks inverted, so I think it's gonna suit Porro. And I've seen what he can do with someone like Pascal Gross, and I think Pedro Porro could play a similar role to how Pascal Gross plays those when he's at fullback. And he was brilliant there with. You think Pascal Gross at fullback is going to get caught out all the time, and he didn't. And he somehow made it. So he was getting the best out of him, yet he still somehow overcame his deficiencies as well. So he wasn't totally overexposed. And I think he could do the same with Porro.
The last loser that we're going to go for is Radu Dragusin. I don't expect him to be here past the summer, to be honest, Radu, but I don't think he's a defender that De Zerbi will take too well. He's, you know, pretty poor on the ball. As a pure defender, you know, he can be okay at times, but obviously we haven't seen that too much, him coming back from an ACL. I just think profile, stylistic-wise, he's just completely the wrong fit for someone like Roberto De Zerbi. So I think Spurs are going to look to move him on in the summer.
Yeah, thinking of Dragusin back in that high line, I think sends shivers down my spine. I think he isn't going to fancy him at all, and I think nowhere near technical enough to play those. Imagine Dragusin baiting the press. Like, can you just imagine it? Like, I can't even imagine him not shitting himself when anyone comes within like 10 yards of him. So I think Dragusin's going to really struggle with this. I think De Zerbi's going to take one look at him and say, you're gone, mate. You ain't staying here.
And the last player we're going to talk about, who is going to be a winner, is Yves Bissouma. Obviously, I think when you're looking at the midfielders that we have and the ability to take the ball on the half-turn and drive, Bissouma might actually be the best one that we've got. We've seen him flourish in the Bournemouth team, albeit not under De Zerbi, under Graham Potter. And that obviously forced us to sign him, and we were thought we were getting one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Hasn't really turned out that way. Bissouma, though, only has a few months left in his contract. So maybe he has 7 games to prove himself to De Zerbi, and maybe if he does prove himself in these 7 games, maybe Spurs even give him another contract.
Yeah, I don't know whether he will be here after the season. Even if he does well, he could still leave on a free and go look for a new challenge. But I think what we know about Bissouma is what's the main thing he struggles with, and that's consistency, and that's you know lapses in concentration and switching off in games. That's like the biggest thing he struggles with. And I think from a profile point of view, when we go what we saw from the early days of Angel and some other spats of form, he's so press resistant. He's very comfortable with his back facing the play. He's very comfortable being pressed. He's very comfortable playing quick one-touch passes as well, and he can wriggle outside situations. Now he's got 7 games to lock in, prove a new manager. Either prove to a new manager he can stay here, or prove to buying clubs he's got a big future and you should buy him. I really think I could see Bissouma locking in these next 7 games and show his best side of himself, because he's either looking for a new contract, which is what players do when they're looking for a new contract. They show their best side of themselves. And I think he's really suited to what De Zerbi wants to do as well. I think De Zerbi will look at him and thinking, this guy can do what I need him to do. And I think he can trust him for 7 games. So I think he's going to be a winner out of this. Whether he stays at Tottenham or not, I still think he'll be a winner out of De Zerbi being here for the next 7 games.
It's going to be interesting. I think even so, there are a few more players in the squad who could come out as winners under De Zerbi. I think, if Kinski can brush up on that, goalkeeping ability in terms of his shot stopping, he could definitely be a winner under De Zerbi. And I don't think De Zerbi would be scared to throw Kinski in there, even after what happened at Atletico Madrid. I think Matisse Tell can come on leaps and bounds under someone like De Zerbi, and that goes the same for Wilson Odebear, but obviously Odebear is not going to be seen for a very long time. So I think there are many players in this squad that could be very valuable to De Zerbi. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I think Solanke, I think he's going to be so valuable. Definitely. I think maybe another loser potentially is Richarlison. I think he's going to definitely fancy Solanke over Richarlison. And I think that's going to be maybe Richarlison might be left out in the cold a bit, maybe reduced to a super sub. I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, I think Van de Ven as well. Could he be a loser potentially? Because he's improved, you would say, up until the last couple months. As a player, you'd say the way we were playing has improved him as a defender. But now, is he going back to the, Van de Ven who just has to put out fires and play that high line and stretch those hamstrings again? Is he putting his hamstrings at risk? Is that going to suit him? Is he going to be happy in favour of that? Who knows? So that could be something to look at. I definitely think Romero is more of a De Zerbi defender than Van de Ven, because I think Romero is a lot more comfortable on the ball than Van de Ven is as well. So that from that element, I don't think Van de Ven's as good playing that kind of baiting the press kind of football.
The thing is, I don't think he needs 2 big ball playing centre backs. I think he needs 2 centre backs that complement each other well. And I think Van de Ven and Romero can do that.
I think in an ideal world, he wants everyone to be very comfortable on the ball. But
you're looking at his
centre play.
Yeah, but you're looking at his centre backs that I've had. I mean, Van de Ven will be up there with one of the best centre backs that he's had.
Maybe you can improve him on the ball. That'll be the optimal thing. And I think Koulibaly will be a massive winner here as well.
The thing is, with the ability that Van de Ven has, I think there's no way he doesn't take to De Zerbi ball. I really believe that. We saw how good Van de Ven was under Ange.
Yeah, it's true. He did take to Ange ball as well, for sure.
I mean, the way that Van de Ven can carry the ball as well, I think De Zerbi will love that. So look, I think a lot of players will love playing on De Zerbi, but we've got a big 7 games ahead of us. I don't think we're going to see De Zerbi ball in its purest form in these next 7 games, but let's hope he can do enough to keep us in the division. And then regardless, we'll see De Zerbi ball in full flight next season. I mean, even if we go down, that's maybe a bit excited even for next season in the Championship without De Zerbi.
He's going to be here no matter what. Mikey Moore, Lancashire, Donnelly, all playing De Zerbi ball. Tyrese Hall.
Does that not excite you a little bit? Not excite you to get relegated, because obviously I don't want anything to do with relegation. But if we were to get relegated, seeing Hotspur away under De Zerbi in the Championship.
De Zerbi turning our youngsters into a De Zerbi super team.
Yeah, in the Championship. That sounds like unbelievable.
I mean, part of me wants to see it.
Let's hope we never have to see it. But if we have to see it, I think it'll be great. It'll be a fun season.
It could be. It could. Well, let's hope it is. Let's hope it works.
But look, that is it from us today. We'll see you back tomorrow for another day.